Tesla CEO Elon Musk hosting a delivery event for the long-awaited Cybertruck in Austin, Texas on Thursday. This comes after years of delays and just weeks after Musk admitted that the truck was hard to make and manufacture at, quote, a price people can afford. But the CEO hopes that this launch will be just the thing to move the needle. Here's Mark New.
At Tesla's headquarters in Austin, Texas, before a crowd of fans and investors, CEO Elon Musk drove in on one of the most hyped vehicles in the company's history, the all-electric Cybertruck.
Once every 5 to 10 years, something really special, a really unusual product comes along. And we'll remember those special moments. It's very rare that a product comes along that is seemingly impossible.
Musk showcased how the vehicle's glass could be hit by baseballs and how the stainless steel super alloy body could withstand arrows and bullets.
If Al Capone showed up with a Tommy gun and emptied the entire magazine into the car door, you would still be alive. And so people say, like, well, why'd you make it bulletproof? I'm like, why not?
But Musk emphasized the Cybertruck is cut out for real work. It can carry a payload of over a ton and has a towing capacity of 11,000 pounds, or nearly 5,000 kilograms. It can go from 0 to 60 in 2.6 seconds. Musk even showed a video of a drag race between the Cybertruck and a new Porsche 911. The Cybertruck won in convincing fashion.
It can tow a Porsche 911 across a quarter-mile faster than the Porsche 911 can go by itself.
Tesla's Cybertruck has been plagued by delays, but on this day, Musk jubilantly delivered some of the very first vehicles to customers who are now ready to hit the road.
Thank you for buying Cybertruck. This is really going to, change the look of the roads, and finally the future will look like the future, and it's really going to be something special.
The Cybertruck is billed as being able to go 340 miles, or about 547 kilometers, on a single charge. The base model ranges from about $60,000 all the way up to $96,000. With the first deliveries now in the books, production is expected to ramp up in 2024 with the goal of producing 250,000 models a year by 2025. The question now becomes, will there be enough buyers for such a radical design? Mark New, CGTN, Palo Alto, California.
The truck launch comes after another controversy from Musk, profanity-laden remarks from the billionaire on Wednesday, where he lashed out at advertisers that left the social media platform X over anti-Semitic content. His profanity follows after Musk apologized during the interview for a November 15th tweet where he agreed with an anti-Jewish post. Musk has come under fire for the tweet and has since said that it's possibly the worst one he's made. He's denied that he's anti-Semitic, but insists that advertisers who have left X should not think they can blackmail him. The fallout from his comments against advertisers thus far has yet to be felt. For more things on Musk and Tesla, Karl Brauer, executive analyst at iSeeCars.com, an automotive research site. Good to see you again. I don't know where to begin. Do we go with the person or do we go with the company? Let's start with the person Musk, because ultimately a lot of analysts are saying it is starting to have an impact on Tesla's brand. These comments he made, they're clearly controversial. He's somewhat apologized for it, but yesterday in an interview, he basically used 4-letter words to tell these advertisers more or less to go to hell. What's going on with him personally here?
Well, he has never been exactly a shrinking violet, right? He's always been a controversial CEO. And I feel like he's driven people away and pulled people toward him since he really came on the public stage and became the head guy at Tesla over 10 years ago. He has definitely sent people away in the past 2-3 years that I think were longtime fans. But I also wonder if there are people out there who are now fans that weren't before. And is he pulling more people in than he's driving away? We'll probably never know the answer to that.
I got to think, well, I know that Wall Street is worried about it. We just talked about the launch of the Cybertruck. I mean, this essentially is sort of the first real big launch he's had in some time. I mean, I know the 3 was a thing, but essentially that was a smaller version of some of the other vehicles. And a lot of people are saying that innovation at Tesla, this is their real opportunity to show that they can still innovate, they can make a vehicle that there is demand for and that people want. So there lies the question, is this a vehicle there's demand for and that people want in the numbers that investors expect?
I think it's going to be disappointing. I'm disappointed in the truck only because Elon himself is admitting that it's hard to produce and it doesn't have a lot of profit margin put into it. And it's going to take a couple of years to get up to full production because of its challenges. Now, does it have a lot of exciting, weird, bizarre things that are going to make people feel like it's this car they've got to have and they're going to want to stand next to it and take selfies and all these other things people are saying? Sure. But if I'm an investor, I want high volume, high profit. I don't want baseball-proof windows or bulletproof metal.
Right. The irony, by the way, is that for traditional car makers, these trucks are in high demand. They're high profitable. I'm talking about regular, combustible engine trucks like the Ford F-150. If that's the case, why even make this? I mean, couldn't Musk in 6 months say, hey, you know what? This isn't working out. We're not making any money. Let's just pull the plug on it. I mean, could that be a possibility?
Well, that's always a possibility, but have we ever seen him back away from something that he's committed to before? To me, this is like a larger kind of cool, complete vehicle version of those doors that were on the back of the Model X that came out. And he kind of admitted after a while that, yeah, these were more of a vanity play and a bizarre, cool thing, but they weren't very effective and they caused a lot of problems, more than they justified in putting on the vehicle. And I feel like we're seeing kind of a whole vehicle that you can make that argument of. And you're right. The best-selling vehicle for 40 plus years has been the F-150. It's largely driven the profit behind Ford for decades. This was an opportunity to jump into a high-volume, high-priced segment that has a lot of demand in the U.S. and other countries and really change things financially for the company.
Yeah. But by the way, the Cybertruck is not cheap, right? It's $60,000, $70,000. Am I right?
60 to 90,000 for the one that you want to beat Porsches with. You got to get up to the $90,000 one if you want. That's what you want to do. Yes.
I don't know if you have to pay extra for the bulletproof glass or not. Look, when we were going to school, we were taught being a CEO or being a leader, you have to be diplomatic. You have to work with everybody. You have to. Your job is to sort of to be a leader, right? And lately, there are issues, especially when it comes to labor unions. Let's just take Sweden, for example, where it's now turned into the controversy has turned into a bigger problem for Elon Musk. He's now got his personality in the way of these negotiations, and I don't know where we stand here, but probably a couple years ago we would think, oh, they'll come to agreement and things will be fine and we don't have to worry about it. But I think we do need to worry about it. I think these unions are having more leverage on the future of Tesla. Where do we stand with these discussions?
Yeah, undeniably. And the power of the unions in Sweden, if you didn't know and you study this case, you're just like, wow, because it's not just like the union that builds this or the union that builds that, the network of unions that do everything in that country. And if one of them starts to have a challenge, they'll band together and nothing gets done. And that's what's happened over there. And I think Elon probably didn't see that coming. And now he's kind of backed into a corner where he's made his statements. He's kind of taken a stand. And now it's like, well, if that's your stand, then you're in a bad way. I could use another word, but you're in a bad way in this country because we can completely shut you down. And that's kind of what they've done to him. And now we've seen the successful labor union, the UAW in the US, and what it was able to accomplish that's putting pressure on non-unionized plants in the US to either up their pay or potentially face getting unionized because they're starting to get pretty appealing things at UAW plants.
And ultimately, all of these workers at the factory level and the sort of the vertical integration, whether you're making batteries or you're putting screws in vehicles, it's competitive, right? You work at one factory. I mean, if one raises pay, the other has to raise pay. It works together as an industry. This year has been really interesting for EVs. We've seen the most number of new EVs come to market, but we've also seen a slowdown in growth as well. I've heard more and more people talk about the fact that they've purchased these EVs and it hasn't met really their expectations. And I know the marketing's been fantastic on it, but what's really happening with the industry, and what does that mean for next year, even though we have more and more technically EVs coming out?
Yeah, the factors that are playing against EVs right now are pretty substantial and hard to deny. Everything from macroeconomic things that are having people more concerned about where they're spending their money and what they're buying, and higher interest rates, that if you buy a more expensive version of something, say an EV versus a traditional car, and you have to finance it, you're paying even more for the extra money you're paying because of the interest rates. So people are less risk willing, they're more risk averse in an economic environment like this one. And EVs are still new to 90+% of the population, certainly in the US, and the majority of people still haven't tried one, even in markets like Europe and China. It's still a new technology. And then, you take into the fact that, like you said, people have given them a try, and there's upsides and there's downsides, but they're not just this clearly superior thing that you're getting and all. And if the temperature's dropping, if you have a truck like an F-150 and you try towing, then you lose half your range, and you can't just pull into a station and solve that problem in 5 to 10 minutes like you can with a diesel truck. So people are kind of realizing, look, EVs have positives, but they're not something maybe that works for everybody. And we're seeing that. And the used side, we looked at the numbers recently. Used cars in the US on average are down 5.1%. Used EVs, 33.7%. They're off by more than a third from a year ago in terms of what people are paying.
That is a shocking statistic. We're going to leave it there. Karl Brauer, appreciate your time on this important topic. Thank you.
Thank you.